Before you can ever hold wealth in your hand, you must first hold it in your mind. That may sound poetic, but it's a reality you can see in every person who has gone from nothing to abundance. They didn't just stumble into riches, they first rewired how they thought about life, opportunity, and themselves. Because you can give someone $1 million, and if their thinking is still trapped in scarcity, fear, and smallness, they will find a way to lose it. It will slip through their fingers like water through an open palm. But give another person the right mindset, even if you start them with nothing, and they will find ways to create wealth again and again. Most people misunderstand this. They think the rich are rich because of luck, family inheritance, or some magical opportunity. But more often, it's the inner world they cultivated that shaped their outer reality. They developed a mind that is trained to recognize value where others see nothing, to persist when others quit, and to believe in possibilities others laugh at. Wealth in the mind manifests as habits, as decisions, as resilience. It is not something you switch on the day your bank account gets bigger. It's something you carry with you long before the money arrives. Think about the poverty mindset for a moment. It is a set of mental chains. It whispers, play it safe, don't take risks, you'll lose everything if you try something new. It makes people cling to the little they have, like a person clutching a few coins while ignoring the gold mine a few steps away. It convinces you that the world is rigged against you, that opportunities are for other people, that you can only survive by shrinking your dreams to fit your current situation. And the saddest part, it blinds you to the very doors that could lead you to freedom. Now compare that to the wealth mindset. It is not reckless, but it is bold. It sees risk as a necessary ingredient for growth, not something to be feared into paralysis. It looks at challenges as opportunities in disguise. It believes that resources are abundant, that value can always be created, and that failure is simply part of the tuition you pay for success. Where the poverty mindset asks, what if I lose? The wealth mindset asks, what if I win? And that difference changes the direction of your life. Some people think mindset is just about positive thinking, but this is not about empty optimism. It's about trained perception, seeing what others overlook, connecting dots others don't even notice, and maintaining focus when distractions scream for your attention. Wealthy people are not immune to fear or doubt. They simply refuse to let those emotions dictate their decisions. They have conditioned their minds to look for solutions rather than excuses. If you want to change your financial reality, you must start by challenging the internal scripts you've been repeating for years. Maybe you grew up hearing, money doesn't grow on trees, or rich people are greedy. Without realizing it, these statements may have become part of your identity, quietly sabotaging your ambitions. When opportunities come, you might reject them, not because they aren't good, but because deep down, you don't believe wealth is for someone like you. That's why the transformation has to start in the mind. You must rewrite those beliefs, replacing limitation with possibility. And this is where discipline enters the picture. A wealth mindset is not about daydreaming, it's about daily training. You read, you learn, you surround yourself with people who think bigger than you. You begin to ask better questions. Instead of asking, can I afford this? You start asking, how can I afford this? That single shift moves you from a place of passive acceptance to active creation. When your mind expands, your actions follow. You start noticing small opportunities, a skill you can monetize, a market gap you can fill, a partnership you can explore. And as you act on these, your reality begins to change. That's why two people can start with the same circumstances, but 5 years later, one is stuck in the same struggle while the other has built something remarkable. The difference is not luck, it's the mental framework through which they approached every decision. Wealth, then, is not just about numbers, it is about identity. Who do you believe yourself to be? If you believe you are someone destined to struggle, your actions will align with that identity, no matter how much money you temporarily earn. But if you believe you are capable, worthy, and resourceful, you will naturally make decisions that lead to growth and stability, and those decisions will compound, just like investments, into something much bigger than you imagined. I want you to remember this. You cannot plant seeds of scarcity in your mind and expect to harvest abundance in your life. Every thought you allow to take root shapes the soil in which your future grows. So protect your mind as you would protect a treasure chest, feed it with knowledge, challenge it with new perspectives, and guard it from voices that tell you it can't be done, because once your mind becomes wealthy, your bank account will eventually catch up. The richest people in the world were wealthy here touches head long before they were wealthy here gestures, as if holding money. If you change the way you think, you change what you see. And when you change what you see, you change what you can create. So the question you must ask yourself is not, how do I get rich? But rather, how do I think in a way that attracts, sustains, and multiplies wealth? Answer that, live by it, and you will no longer chase riches. They will be drawn to you. Because wealth is not something you pursue. It is something you become. A common illusion many people live under is this: if I could just earn more money, all my problems would disappear. But if that were true, why do we see celebrities, athletes, even lottery winners earning millions, yet ending up bankrupt, sometimes within just a few years? Clearly, it's not just about how much comes in, but how you manage, direct, and grow what you already have. Earning more is not a guarantee of wealth. In fact, for some people, it's the beginning of bigger problems. When income increases without wisdom, spending grows to match it, sometimes even exceeding it. The more they earn, the more they upgrade their lifestyle, the more they commit to expenses they cannot sustain, and the more they drown in debt disguised as success. You've probably seen it. Someone gets a big promotion or lands a high-paying job. Almost immediately, they feel they need a bigger house, a new car, expensive holidays, and luxury items they never thought about before. It's called lifestyle inflation, and the danger is that it gives the illusion of wealth without the substance of it. You may look rich to the outside world, but in reality, you are simply running faster on the same treadmill, going nowhere, but getting more exhausted in the process. The truth is, real wealth is not measured by your income, but by your net worth, what you own minus what you owe. If your spending habits grow alongside your income, your net worth remains stagnant or even negative, and this is why some people making a modest income end up financially free, while others earning 10 times more remain trapped in financial stress. This is where discipline becomes your greatest ally. You cannot build wealth if you treat money as something to consume the moment it arrives. Money must first be respected, then managed, and finally multiplied. Respect means understanding its value beyond immediate gratification. Management means tracking it, planning for it, and ensuring every unit you earn has a purpose. Multiplication means learning how to make your money work for you through investments, business ventures, or other income-generating activities. Here's the mistake many people make. They focus all their energy on earning more, but spend almost no time learning how to keep and grow it. This is why financial literacy is more important than financial opportunity. If you cannot manage $100, you will not suddenly learn to manage 100,000. And if you are careless with 100,000, 1 million will only magnify your carelessness. Think of money like water in a bucket. If the bucket is full of holes, pouring more water into it will not help. You must first fix the holes. Those holes are your unnecessary expenses, your impulsive spending, your poor financial habits. Patch them, and you will find that even with the same amount of income, you are already richer than you were before. Another trap people fall into is mistaking active income for security. Active income is the money you earn from your direct labor, your job, your services, your business efforts. The moment you stop working, that income stops. True wealth is built on passive income, money that continues to flow even when you are not actively working, and that comes from assets, investments, rental properties, businesses that run without your constant involvement. This is why you must see income as a tool, not the destination. The purpose of earning is to create a foundation where your money starts earning for you. If you spend everything you make, you are forever a servant to your paycheck. But if you consistently direct a portion of your income into assets, you slowly transition from working for money to having money work for you. That is the point where freedom begins. It's also important to realize that money has seasons. There will be times of abundance and times of scarcity. The wealthy understand this and prepare accordingly. They do not spend recklessly in times of plenty because they know the seasons will change. They save, they invest, and they create safety nets so that even in lean times they remain stable. Those without this mindset often spend everything in the good times, and when the lean season comes, they are forced into desperation, debt, and regret. If you truly want to break free from financial struggle, you must start looking at your income differently. Instead of asking, "How much am I earning?" ask, "How much am I keeping and growing?" That simple shift in perspective will make you more cautious about where your money goes and more intentional about where you place it. Remember, income is only the entry point to wealth. It is not the wealth itself. A high income with poor habits is like pouring gold into a leaking bag. Eventually, there will be nothing left. But even a modest income paired with discipline, strategy, and patience can grow into something far greater than you imagine. So don't be fooled into thinking the next pay raise, the next contract, or the next business deal will automatically make you rich. They may give you a boost, but only your habits will determine whether that boost takes you higher or simply gives you a more expensive way to stay in the same place. And here's the truth that few will tell you: money is not the problem and money is not the solution. The problem is how you handle it. The solution is to master that handling before chasing more of it. Because the day you learn to manage what you have is the day you prove you are ready for more. When you understand that, you stop asking life for a bigger paycheck and start asking yourself for a bigger sense of responsibility. And that shift from wanting more to managing well is the moment you step out of financial survival and into financial growth. We've spoken about how mindset shapes wealth and how income alone is never enough. But now we have to face one of the most crucial truths in the journey to real financial freedom. It's not just how much you make or even how much you save. It's where your money goes that determines your destiny. There is a clear difference between the way the wealthy handle money and the way the poor or middle class handle it. And this difference can be summed up in one simple principle: the rich buy assets, the poor buy liabilities, often without even realizing it. Let's break that down. An asset is something that puts money into your pocket. It produces income, grows in value, or both. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket, something you have to pay for, maintain, and sustain. The difference is not always obvious because liabilities can look attractive, even feel like a sign of success, but they drain your financial future in the background, quietly and consistently. Here's the problem. Most people are taught, directly or indirectly, to collect liabilities and call them achievements. They buy a bigger house than they need, thinking it's an investment. But if it's not generating income and it's costing them more each month, it's a liability. They buy brand new cars, often on finance, which lose value the moment they're driven off the lot. They upgrade their gadgets, wardrobes, and lifestyles, believing they are rewarding themselves. But all the while they are feeding a system that keeps them dependent on their next paycheck. The wealthy think differently. They ask, if I spend this money here, will it grow or will it shrink? They put their resources into things that multiply: real estate that produces rent, businesses that create profits, stocks that pay dividends, skills that increase their earning power. Even when they indulge in luxuries, they often do so after those luxuries can be paid for by the income their assets generate, not from their salary or primary income stream. This is why you can see someone with a modest income slowly building a fortune over time. They prioritize buying assets, even if they start small. A few shares of stock, a small rental property, a side business. Each one adds a brick to their financial foundation. On the other hand, someone with a massive income who constantly buys liabilities ends up trapped in financial stress because their lifestyle demands constant feeding. One of the most dangerous financial illusions is believing that something is an investment just because it costs a lot. A luxury watch is not an investment unless you are in the business of trading luxury watches for profit. A car is not an investment unless it produces income, like being part of a rental fleet. The difference between the rich and the poor is not just in how they earn money, it's in how they define value. And here's the deeper truth: choosing assets over liabilities requires humility and patience. It's humbling to drive an older car when you can afford a newer one. It takes patience to invest in something that might not give you instant returns, but will grow steadily over time. Many people fail here because they want to look rich today, even if it costs them the chance to be rich tomorrow. If you really want to change your financial future, you must train yourself to delay gratification. Every dollar you spend on a liability is a dollar that could have been working for you in an asset. Think about that. Your money could be your employee, working 24 hours a day, creating more income while you sleep. But if you spend it on something that only drains your resources, you've just fired that employee before they had a chance to work for you. This is not about living a life of deprivation. It's about building a life of freedom. The goal is not to deny yourself forever, it's to build a strong enough financial base so that one day your assets pay for your lifestyle. Imagine buying that dream home, not with decades of mortgage payments, but with cash from investments that have been quietly growing for years. Imagine traveling the world without worrying about taking time off work because your income flows regardless of where you are. That is the power of choosing assets over liabilities. And yes, this requires education. You cannot invest wisely in what you don't understand. That's why the wealthy often spend more time learning about money than they do earning it. They study markets, they understand the risks, they seek advice from experts, and they diversify their income sources. They know that every asset is a seed, and seeds require care, time, and protection before they bear fruit. The shift from buying liabilities to acquiring assets is not just a financial shift, it's a psychological one. It forces you to stop seeing money as something to spend for immediate pleasure and start seeing it as a tool to build your future. It changes your relationship with consumption. Instead of asking, "Can I afford it?" you begin asking, "Will this make me richer or poorer in the long run?" You may not be able to buy big assets today, but you can start small. The point is to begin now. Every small investment, every skill you develop, every debt you avoid, it all adds up. And one day you will look back and realize that the foundation you built quietly and patiently has given you the financial independence others only dream of. Because in the end, it's not about owning more things. It's about owning things that own more things for you. So remember this: poor people buy liabilities and call them assets. The rich buy assets and let those assets buy the liabilities. The first keeps you chained to your income. The second sets you free. The choice is yours. Spend today and stay trapped, or build today and live free tomorrow. You can have the right mindset, a good income, and the discipline to buy assets instead of liabilities. But if you are surrounded by the wrong people and feeding your mind with the wrong information, your growth will hit a ceiling. It's not because you lack potential. It's because your environment will always shape your results. Your network is not just a list of names in your phone. It is the ecosystem in which your ideas grow or die. If you spend your time with people who constantly complain, make excuses, or live in fear, their way of thinking will slowly seep into your own. Even without realizing it, you'll start doubting possibilities, lowering your standards, and making decisions based on their limitations rather than your own vision. But when you surround yourself with people who think bigger, who are constantly learning, who speak solutions instead of problems, you can't help but start thinking differently. Their ambitions stretch your own. Their experiences open your eyes to opportunities you never considered. Their belief in what's possible makes you question why you ever settled for less. The truth is, success is rarely a solo journey. Almost every wealthy person you admire has been lifted by relationships, mentors who guided them, partners who complemented their strengths, communities that inspired and supported them. One conversation can give you an idea that changes your life. One connection can open a door that years of hard work alone could never have unlocked. And it's not just about who you know, it's also about what you know. Your financial growth is limited by your financial understanding. You cannot invest in opportunities you don't recognize, and you cannot protect wealth in areas you don't understand. Knowledge turns uncertainty into confidence and risk into calculated strategy. The wealthy know this, which is why they make learning a priority, not a luxury. They read, they study markets, they seek advice from experts, and they learn from both their successes and failures. They don't just work harder, they work smarter, because they have equipped themselves with information that multiplies the value of their decisions. There is also a humility in this process. You must be willing to admit what you don't know and be teachable. Many people stay stuck because they let pride get in the way. They don't want to look inexperienced, so they never ask questions. They pretend to understand investments, business, or economics, and in doing so, they make costly mistakes. The wealthy are not afraid to be students. In fact, they remain students for life. This is where your network and your knowledge merge into something powerful. When you are connected to the right people, they don't just give you motivation, they give you education. They share their insights, their mistakes, their strategies. They introduce you to other people who can help you grow. And the more you learn, the more value you can offer back to that network, creating a cycle of mutual benefit that keeps everyone moving forward. But understand this, the right network doesn't mean you only seek out people richer or more experienced than you. It also means you evaluate the influence of everyone in your circle. Are they pushing you toward better decisions or pulling you back into bad habits? Are they inspiring you to think long-term or distracting you with short-term pleasures? Your financial trajectory is often the average of the people you spend the most time with. If that average is pulling you down, it's time to make difficult changes. And yes, sometimes this will mean distancing yourself from people you care about, not out of arrogance, but out of responsibility. If you are trying to build a future and they are content with staying where they are, you must decide which path you will walk. You can love them without letting them define your limits. The same goes for what you consume mentally. Your knowledge network isn't just people, it's also the books you read, the videos you watch, the podcasts you listen to, the courses you take. Every bit of information you absorb is shaping your thinking and, ultimately, your financial destiny. If you spend hours every day consuming entertainment, but almost no time consuming education, don't be surprised when your results reflect that imbalance. I often say this, you can't expect to think like a millionaire if your daily diet is gossip, fear, and distractions. The mind needs fuel that matches the results you want. If you feed it small thinking, you will live a small life. If you feed it wisdom, you will live with wisdom's rewards. You see, wealth is not just built with money, it's built with relationships and information. A strong network gives you leverage, and strong knowledge gives you clarity. Put them together, and you are no longer stumbling in the dark. You are walking with direction, speed, and purpose. But here's the thing, building your network and knowledge is not passive. You don't sit and wait for the right people to find you or the right lessons to appear. You must seek them out, go to where growth is happening, attend seminars, join communities, volunteer in places where people are doing more than you are doing. Ask questions, listen more than you speak, and contribute value wherever you can. The more intentional you are about your environment, the faster your financial life will change. Because in the end, your network determines the opportunities you see, and your knowledge determines what you do with them. Without either, wealth remains a distant dream. With both, it becomes a matter of time. So ask yourself today, who is in my circle and what am I learning? If the answers don't match the life you want, then it's time to be deliberate about changing them. Because the truth is simple, your net worth will rise or fall to the level of your network and your knowledge. Choose them wisely, and they will take you further than money alone ever could.